My name is Chris and I'm a gold prospector here in Victoria, Australia. Australia is world renowned for large gold nuggets, but there's also a lot of very fine gold that occurs in streams just like this. In fact, the next gold rush is probably going to involve digging up all of this fine gold. Here on YouTube, I've been making gold prospecting content for the last 8 years, and I pride myself on trying to teach people just like you on how to find gold. And the reason for that is that gold is now worth over 3,500 Australian dollars an ounce. And in the next 3 to 5 years, it's likely to go all the way up to $5,000 or above. Meaning, armed with just a simple gold pan like this, you can go to a creek, like the one behind me, in a gold bearing area and dig out hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of gold in a single day. Today I'm armed with some very basic equipment. I have a gold pan and a classifier. I have a bucket to collect all of my concentrates, and I have a good quality hardwood handled shovel. All of that equipment behind me cost me less than $100 to purchase, and you can get it much cheaper than that. I do have one other special item in my backpack, and that is my custom made Batea pan. Now this is something I'll use if I find a deposit, simply because I like to use this for enjoyment. But you certainly don't need one of these. For the next hour, we're going to walk upstream and then we're going to slowly make our way down, hunting for a gold deposit. If we find a good spot, we'll stop there and we'll start working it. And what you're going to see over the course of this video is what it's really like to be out here looking for gold. This is all we need. You don't even really need the classifier. That just helps you pan down gravels a little bit faster, especially when you're dealing with clays. So I generally take one along, but sometimes I don't necessarily use it. Now I have prospected this area before. There are a lot of crevices and open pieces of bedrock that have yielded quite a significant amount of gold for me, in the range of around half an ounce over the last 2 weeks, which is worth about 1,600, 1,700 Australian dollars. But I haven't done this upper section, and it looks really good. We've got a flat wide area with exposed bedrock, and flat wide areas generally cause a lot of friction with the slow water, and that friction's what makes the gold drop out in a flood. Now I'm not going to use my classifier until I find clay. What I want to look for is these sort of areas here. We've got encroaching bedrock on the creek coming up here and here. We've got a lot of sand and whatnot on this side of the creek, but it's mixed with big rock. And sand often hides good gold deposits because it's the last thing to drop out when the floodwaters recede. So you got to check underneath it. Oh, you're going to hear me make a lot of old man noises today because, you know, I'm in my mid-30s and all those injuries from when I was a kid are catching up with me. Oh, this is hard packed too. Hard packed gravels are great because it means that they've been in the ground for a really long time and they've had a lot of water running over the top of them. See, I can barely get that up. I think it's because of that root ball. These rushes have very thick roots. And if they're an old stand of rushes, their roots work like a sluice mat and they collect gold. Now, see, probably should have used my classifier for this. Because that would help me break up the root balls, but that's okay. Now, in this creek, there's a lot of lode tin, which means that it's tin forming in quartz veins and it's shedding into the creek. So you're going to see a lot of black sand in the right spots. But there's also a lot of mica, and that's because the bedrock is made up of a granitic mica schist. Fancy word for saying sparkly water. You can kind of see those sparkles coming out in the pan a little bit there. When we hit bedrock, you'll see a lot more of that. Now, because we're just test panning right now, and test panning is the process of just trying to find where the gold is, I'm not worried about breaking everything up. You know, I don't have to get 100% perfectly clean rush roots to know if there's gold in there or not. Ooh, it's a lot of tin coming out right now. So the larger the quantity of heavies, I'll explain that I suppose. The black sands in your pan are called heavies. They can be made up of hematite, magnetite, in this case cassiterite, which is tin ore. Some are magnetic, some are not. These are non-magnetic heavies. They're very dense, and so they tend to collect with the gold. The more of them you get in the pan, and the more varied the size is, so if it's all a uniform size, you're likely to get less gold, even if you have a lot of it, than if you get a mixture of tin or a mixture of black sands. because a mixture of black sands of different sizes shows that the water dropped all the gold at once. But we've got a fair amount in here, not as much as I've seen in this creek, but it's a good indicator that I've got to go a little bit deeper in that spot. We've got a little bit of a mix and a couple of little tiny micros, nothing major, but that was off the surface. It'll be under those roots. If it's anywhere, it's going to be under those roots, so we've got to get through them. Feel around down here just to see if I can't feel if we're close to the bedrock or if it's just big rocks. I think it's just big rocks, which is really good. I'll be pretty impressed if there is a gold deposit here, because the amount of gold I pulled out from downstream was quite good. These rushes, they're old and dead and they're all fallen over. Kind of in the way. It's freezing cold today too. Absolutely freezing. Can't tell. I think I'm just on a really big rock. Yeah, there we go. I just shifted it with my shovel. I can feel it. Oh, there we go. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. If we're getting that much black sand on top, there is a good chance that we'll get better gold, or we'll get good gold down deep. The thing is, if it's all one size, if all the black sand's small and a uniform size, it means that the gold's probably dropped out further upstream, but we won't know that until we get a little bit deeper and hit a layer that's either got clay in it, like that, or the bedrock. There's a bit of clay just there. Clay attracts gold. It attracts gold because it has an electrostatic charge to it that's created by the water running over the top of it. The more clay you get, the greater that charge is, the more likely you're going to get gold to stick to it. Gold's not magnetic, but it is still affected by electrostatic charges. Now for the newcomers to the page, I do edited videos where we go into these concepts in a little bit more detail and we really pick it apart. So if you do want to learn about gold prospecting, consider hitting the subscribe button. It's completely free, and that knowledge might one day just put a little bit of extra cash in your pocket. Now the gold deposits on this creek don't always occur with lots of black sand. Sometimes they're barren from it. I think it just depends on how the creek is eroding the banks and what's in the banks, because sometimes the banks are made up of old dredge tailings, and that's where you'll tend to get the really good pockets of gold. So we did get a little bit of clay there. We got about the same amount of black sand, and we did get gold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 little pieces and a tiny piece of lead. So it's here, but the black sand's uniform and the same size. The bedrock is on this outside edge. I reckon this deep water just here, other side of the creek in the fast water. Now a lot of people will always hunt for the slow water, the slack water, but depending on the size of your creek, sometimes you need the fast water to concentrate things for you, because the slack water is too slack, the gold doesn't actually ever make it into it. Oh, we got clay straight away. We got good clay. All right, if this has gold in it, I'll bring the classifier over for the next pan, because then we'll be able to break up the clay properly. I'm going to push the shovel in as deep as I can, because I want to know if there's like a thicker layer of clay, like a stick, dense, impermeable layer. This is a bit of a greedy pan. No, there's not. It's a lot of silt. That is there. That's the thick, sticky clay that I was hoping for. So this is all silt, but that has potential. We really need the classifier to break it up, but for this first pan, it will tell us if there's gold in it just by washing it like this. Sometimes it's worth breaking clay balls up like this, especially if you're in an area with really big chunky gold, because big chunky gold has enough weight to drive itself down into the clay, whereas the light fine alluvial gold, which is primarily what I get in this area, doesn't have enough weight to do that, and so it gets stuck within the first inch. And all that means is I take the top inch off the clay and leave the rest. Saves me breaking up clay for no reason. Big chunky gold in your area, absolutely break the clay up. Fine little gold, just take the top. Do your tests to make sure, like take a couple of pans of that clay and pan it out just in case. But that's what I found over the last decade or so of doing this full time. Professional rock washer, professional rock licker. That's a lie. Amateur rock licking, one of my favorite things. I should also point out there are a million different panning techniques. Some people say that, you know, maybe I go too fast or maybe I go too slow. I've seen a lot of panning techniques over the years and they all pretty much work. When I'm test panning, I'm not worried about loss as much as I am when I'm working a spot. So I tend to go a little bit faster and harder when I'm just testing. Because I just want to know, right? Like I'm looking for the gold deposit, I don't want to waste any time. Clay, two tiny little bits. So that's not our spot yet, but we're tracing it, I'm thinking we're going to bounce back over to the other side of the creek. I do this bouncing thing because it kind of gives you a big picture. We got more gold on this side than we got on this side. You've got to check the fast water, especially because this bank could be made up of gravels that have gold in it and the fast water will concentrate it on the edge. That doesn't seem to be the case just looking at that one test pan, but that's only one test pan. And the other thing we're looking at is boundary layers. Hopefully the GoPro will punch through the water a little bit, but there's a mound of bigger gravels on this side with some fast water scouring in the middle, so where the water's eroded everything. And the boundary layer is going to be where this mound starts and where that scouring begins. Your gold will deposit usually close to that line. And so that's where I take my test pans from first. The deposits can absolutely be bigger than that, but it's a good place to start, is right on that boundary layer between the fast scouring water and the slow water that's depositing rocks. See, this edge has everything you want. It's got the reeds and the rushes. I am literally right on the side of the road here too, so if you hear trucks going past, that's why. There's a big boulder there that I'm trying to lever out of the way. Fallen over. Yeah, that's a very interesting piece of quartz. Quartz too, probably should talk about that. Quartz is really commonly thought to have all your gold in it, right? So quartz is almost always associated with gold, but 99.99999% of all quartz has no gold. Even in a hard rock gold mine, it's highly unlikely that you're going to find a quartz vein that has visible gold. There's a lot of reasons for that, but put simply, it just takes a very specific type of geology and chemical reaction to make those quartz veins produce gold. So even if you're seeing lots of quartz in your pan, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's gold. A better indication is iron. Iron is like 100% associated with gold. If you've got gold, you've got some kind of iron within that system, and it's usually visible, whether that's your iron pyrites or hematite. So don't get too hung up on the quartz pieces. Hard rock gold mining is very different. It takes a special set of skills, and that's a whole other subject. So when you're in a creek, sure, you might find specimens, but they will sit with your gold because they've got gold in them. The big ones with your classifiers, if you bring a metal detector along, that's the easiest way just to ensure that there isn't anything that you've accidentally thrown out in your classifier. Yeah, a little bit more of a mix of black sands. That's good. That'll normally happen as you get closer to where the fast water starts to slow down. So just up here, it narrows up and it gets really bedrocky, which means it's fast water. So our deposit might be right at the head of the rushes, but we won't know. I should probably bring my bucket down a bit closer. And no gold. Okay. Well, yeah, we do. Nanos. Little tiny fly poops. We keep them because they all count. But, alright. So that had the best gold in it so far. That had nothing in it. It might be up that way, but I don't want to prospect that way today. I want to work from here down. There's a couple of reasons for that, but it's mostly just because it's the way I work. I like to work in sections, so I know what's in those sections. This is a really nice bedrock outcrop. We got an uplift, a drop, an uplift, a drop, and that feels like bedrock here. There's a nice bit of bedrock just there, actually. So we've got gold there. If we get gold here, it means it's traveling through the area, and then we'll check in behind this rock. I reckon maybe in behind that rock we'll find it. We're gonna have the same root ball problem, I think. Nice sort of gemmy, crystally looking bit of quartz there. Alright. And I will show you guys a close-up of the gold at the end. I'll get a camera out that can actually do that for us. I'm not so worried about those roots. I'm looking for longer term deposits that are going to be deeper. They're going to be on the bedrock itself, not sitting above. Anything that's sitting too close to the surface is just flood gold, and that's not going to give us the sort of gold that I want. I want grams of gold, not a half gram. Ah, there we go. That is the decaying bedrock just there. You can see all the tin in it, the dark coloration. So now we know that we've definitely got our shovel all the way to the bedrock in that section. Again, I'm not worried about washing these out too much. We're looking for that bedrock deposit. It's going to involve a lot of clay, a lot of fractured bedrock, and hopefully a lot of black sand and gold. When we get the right stuff, we'll know. You'll see it straight away. It feels different in the pan too. It feels dense. Your pan gets really heavy. Like this has got a little bit of weight to it, so we might be on the right track, but your pan will get really heavy and all the dirt will just like want to sit. It takes more energy to move your pan around and stratify it. See, black sand, but not heaps. No. Nanos. You're not even going to be able to make those out. Okay. So it's not traveling in that direction. It means that that's probably flood gold. See, this just looks likely, doesn't it? Got a big protective shelf here. We're getting in the bushes, guys. That there. Whoa. This creek is weird too. You can miss it by like centimeters. You can be away from a bonanza. So the more pans you do, generally speaking, the more gold you end up with. I guarantee you by the end of this, we're going to find something. Like, well, you just never know when. There's not much gravel behind here. There's got to be a pocket. Oh, it could be big rock. Oh no, it is big rock. That feels like big rock jammed together, mixed with like bedrock outcroppings. There we go. Ah, got under it. It's great when you feel your shovel just slip in between the boulder and the other boulder. This would be a good shovel. I can feel it. It's gonna have big rock. Yeah. But we've got decayed bedrock. That's perfect. So if there's not gold in this, then we know this area is definitely not worth it. This is solid bedrock that my shovel just sunk into. That is the best possible case scenario for gold capture. And the reason for it is the bedrock has heaps of little tiny micro crevices, and it's soft enough to let something heavy and dense like gold, which weighs 19 times more than water, fall down into it. Alright, if this has gold in it, that'd be great. If it doesn't have gold in it, I'd be really, really surprised. I mean, it's happened plenty of times before, but see, you can see that mica in the water, that smoky look. I just want one spot today to work for gold. The gold here is chunky too. It's fine gold, or it's what's considered to be fine gold in amateur small scale mining operations, but it's still got some size and shape to it, which is kind of rare for my area. Most of the time you don't get size or shape. You usually get very flat thin gold, or almost pinpricks. It looks, I don't know, normally like on a good pan you'll see the gold poke out on the sides, on the sides of the back of your dirt. We're not seeing that just yet, so maybe not, but you do never know. This creek, sometimes it will give you really good gold without the black sand, so yeah, a few little pieces, that's good. We've got heaps of micro, 1, 2, 3, 4 little dots. Still not exactly what I'm looking for though, is it? There's still this side. This side's got bedrock outcrops on it too. See, we just panned off. Choices. We just panned off where it might be worth testing. Feeling around, well, I like to feel around with the shovel too, because it tells you where the gravel is, what the bedrock's doing. I know we didn't get much gold there, but I still want to try on this edge because it looks right. It looks right, and I know that you can be really close to the deposit and still miss it here. And we're only just at the head of the bedrock section that I want to work. You always come to the head of where you want to work first, because the head is usually the end of the last slow section of water. And that slow section of water is where your gold's deposited. It might be dispersed across the entire width or length of it, but it'll give you an idea of what gold's going down into your fast section. There's more gravel here. There's much more gravel. So we're looking for gravel, because if you have just clean bedrock, it means the water was very fast and very violent, didn't deposit very much. The crevices will usually be good in those areas, but it didn't deposit much in the way of gravel. And we want gravel deposits because gravel deposits almost always give you more gold than crevices. And a gravel deposit is, you know, something that might be a cubic meter of soil that's going 15, 20, 50, 100 specks a pan, depending on where you are, or more. This is looking good. So when we find gravel deposits immediately after fast water, it means the velocity changed. It dropped things. That black sand's better, not great. Still not very much in the way of quantity. Falling over. Yeah, same. We've got garnets. Two little itty bitty garnets there. Kind of cool. Keep the garnets. Okay. That is heavy scouring going that way. Get the classifier. Go back into this section. So this is a trench. Trenches are usually too fast to contain too much. Let's just put the bucket up here. Hand me classifier. My instinct says this side, but I'm going to check this side. I'm going to check this side because we've got shelter. All these blackberries, all of the bedrock outcropping here in high flood, and high flood's up there, you know, 10 or 20 feet above where I am currently. That shelter might be enough to start trapping some gold. There's some big rock, but that might be just shedding out of the bank. The idea of these films is to run you through my thought process too, so I might sound like I'm carrying on a little bit or rambling, and it's simply because you're trying to decode the creek, and this is how it's done. People assume that you know where the gold is and you just walk straight to it, but this is it. This is what you have to do if you want to find good gold deposits. We are on bedrock here, so there's not that much gravel sitting on top of it. Yeah, there's really not that much gravel there, so we'll just wash this out. Because if there's a deposit there, we're going to need to do something different to just shoveling it up. We'll have to use the yabby pump to dredge the bottom off. Oh, yep. A few more little pieces. Again, crumbs. We're following the trail. 1, 2, 3. 3 tiny little pieces of gold. Oh, we don't need to classify yet. Alright. Okay, so ooh, we've got depth there. We've got real good depth of soil. Oh, and we've got clay. Okay, depth of soil and clay. Let's go again. See how deep that clay is. I think that's it. I think it's about a shovel head, thereabouts. And clay is no guarantee of gold, but it certainly helps. Yeah, see, it's all very uniform in size, that. Not a lot of gravel in it either. Don't know. We pay attention to soil makeup because it gives us a good idea of where we're going to find the gold on the rest of the creek. You know, you could be walking along and thinking, oh, every creek's the same, I've got to find the tan dirt. But the tan dirt's tan for a reason, right? If the gold's settling out in tan dirt on one creek, the tan dirt might mean something else on another creek, or the gold size might be different. And it means that tan dirt's now worthless because it doesn't mean the same thing on different creeks. So we pay attention to soil makeup so that when we find good gold, if it keeps occurring with the same sort of dirt, we know that that's probably where we're going to find it, so we go hunting for it. It's easier to find the right colored dirt than it is to find the right gold, if that makes sense. Ooh, look, gold in the corner. All right. That's the first time I've seen that today. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's not a good pan, it's not mineable, but it's definitely the best one we've got so far. All those little specks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 of decent size. Okay, I like that. So that was right at the head. Let's come in a little bit. These reeds are going to be thick again, but it feels like there's more gravel just here. And we want that gravel because gravel's heavier than sand and it's dropping gravel. Yeah, okay. Okay. That has a little bit of everything. That has clay, sand, gravel, tree roots. I think about the only thing I'm missing there is bedrock, which probably won't be too deep because there's bedrock all around us. So you'll see me doing this a lot with my hand, especially if I hit a spot that has good gold. What I'm doing is I'm making sure that I break up all the gravels that have compacted together in the pan. I'm finding and feeling for clay balls that will easily break up. And essentially massaging the dirt helps the gold sink, helps release the gold, helps clean rocks. Very underrated skill. You don't see a lot of people doing it. Guess people don't realize that they need to. But when you're on a good gold deposit, always worth massaging your dirt. Got to get it all relaxed, right? For the washing you're about to do. See, I think we're on the right trail now. I think we're on the right trail. We're not there yet, but oh yes, okay. So we just moved forward 1 foot and we went from like 6 or so specks down to maybe 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 good specks right there. They're not big, but we're on the right track. Now, do I punch deeper? I think yes. So I don't think I was on the bottom then, and I want to know what's on the bottom, because if we got 8, we basically tripled our last pan and we weren't on the bottom. The bottom is the bedrock. The bedrock is impermeable, which means that the gold collects on it. So I'm gonna go down until I get a pan that's close to the bottom, and we'll know because there'll be clay or decaying bedrock. Some of the roots from the top. No, we're not there yet. We're a couple shovel heads down here. Oh, there we go. I can feel it on the end of my shovel. It's scraping. So we're pretty close to the bedrock here. This shovel will give us a pretty good feel for it. clays, quartz with tin in it. Yeah, and then that just there's this little bit, there's a little bit of a color difference and a texture difference. This is stuff sitting above the bedrock, there's lots of black sand in it. And this stuff here, it's stickier, thicker, that's on the bedrock. So if there's a decent gold deposit, we should get the same amount of specks or more from this pan. Ideally more. We could be right at the head of it, and the head of it is usually not the richest part. A couple meters into the head of your deposit's usually where your best gold is. Meters, feet, however long the deposit is. It won't be right at the start, it'll be just inside. Alright, so what I'm really looking for while I'm panning down, I've already got gold just there, this will be good. This will be good. What I'm looking for is an accumulation of gold like that, that's refusing to sink, which means that there is a lot of black sand in there. The more black sand I see as I'm panning down, the better. Now I'm not seeing a huge amount, so I'm not thinking this is going to be brilliant, but we're finding it. We're definitely on that right track. Yeah, yep, I've got gold right there in the riffles. Little bit less. Okay, so that means it was that means it's primarily a flood. That's a nice little garnet just there. That means that's still probably flood gold. It hasn't settled there. There's a bedrock shelf that sticks out right here. So we've got gold coming in this line. It's bounced off that side. You've got trace, and then it started concentrating it through this area, which means that this bedrock shelf that I'm standing on possibly offered an obstruction for it to slow up on. And so that's why we will test that. Oh yeah, yeah, that's what we want. Yep, we've got decaying bedrock. We have decaying bedrock. And it's right from an obstruction directly in front of where we're getting 18 specks for 2 shovels. Thick, sticky clay. There's no gravel in it though, so once that outside's been washed off, we get rid of it. Different dirt, very different dirt. It's got much more red and brown tones in it than it does, well, than it did the last one, which was almost all primarily grey. I don't think we're going to see a huge amount in this, but you never know. No, okay, we're still on the hunt. It's transitioning through this area. We've got 1, 2 good pieces and a bunch of flour, but no, I know this spot's got good gold and we're going to find it. All right, I think it comes up there, so it's rising. All right. There's a bedrock drop here. This shelf drops off, so right on bedrock there. Okay. I'm on bedrock, but I'm under those reeds. Thick clay off bedrock. we've got an obstruction running across the creek here. So we've got gold in transit, but it has to come uphill, which means that you're going to get a scouring effect on that front, so there's not much opportunity for it to accumulate. But on the back side of this, you've got an eddy and high friction. Eddy and high friction and gold in transit usually points towards a possible accumulation. But this is part of figuring that out, isn't it? I've got to get rid of those roots. If there's gold here, I'm going to have to cut those roots out because they are in the way. So you can tell I'm really concentrating because I just stopped talking. I'm hopeful. Hopeful. Shotgun pellet. That's good. Lead weighs, or has a density 50% that of gold. So when you get shotgun pellets, you tend to get gold. Flour gold, really? All the right indicators are there. All of the right indicators are there. Let's try here. Hello, Pan. You come for a bit of a trip. See, this side of the creek's high bedrock, far less likely for there to be good gravel deposits because of that high bedrock. I found a fishing lure. Throw that in the bucket. Not all that we find is gold. Sometimes it's fishing lures and bullets. Oh. Nah, those roots, I have to cut those roots out. I can't get under them. And it's going to be under them what we want. Sometimes you got to turn into a bit of an arborist. And no one's stressed, these roots are dead. You know, last season's rushes, they'll come back in spring with a vengeance. This isn't going to be doing them any damage in terms of their survivability. And we're not going to increase erosion because we're not going to be digging in the banks. We're only going to be digging in the water line. That's better. Much better. Ooh. Now I always try to pan off in the same spot too, because there's nothing worse than dumping your tailings everywhere and ending up dumping them on top of a gold deposit. This pan's got the density. It's got that real dense feel about it. Interesting rock. No black sand though. I mean, we're only sort of on top of those rushes, so I'll have to take another one from there. Yeah, once again, just a couple. This is it though. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. You're going to be doing a lot of 1 or 2 spec pans to find the good deposits. Another little garnet. Get in the bucket. All right. I encourage everyone too to spend their time doing this. A lot of people only have the weekend, right? That you can go out on the weekend and, you know, you might get a camping trip away once a month or once every couple months. And people just jump into the creek and they dig the first spot that they find, you know, some kind of gold. They might find 10 specks a pan, get really excited and start digging there for the whole weekend. And they get gold, but if you just spend a couple of hours of your time looking for those good deposits, even though you've reduced the time that you can work the ground, you end up with more gold because the ground's richer. And so it's worth spending your time doing this. I know we're going to find it today. I just don't know when or exactly where. But that's the exciting part about gold prospecting. It's a real life treasure hunt. Spend your time looking. Oh, we got thicker black sand. Like the quantity's not there, but the sand size just went up. More specks, but smaller. It was only on the surface. That might be, this might be worth doing. There's gravel in that, I think. Is there gravel in that? Or is that just bedrock? Nope, that was just bedrock. But that means that there's a trench there. So maybe I just dug either side of the trench, which would be where the gold isn't. Because there's a bedrock uplift here and a bedrock uplift here and a trench in the middle. Theoretically that trench could go straight across, and I dug there and there. There we go. Okay, we got gravel. We got gravel. It still feels like surface stuff to me. I don't know if the shovel's going to go in any deeper, but the gravel's really packed. I mean, this is why you want a really good quality handled shovel too. Non-synthetic wood I've found to be the best overall. Hardwood. Because you do a lot of leveraging with your shovel when you're prospecting, just simply trying to get it into the ground, especially if you're dealing with compacted river rock. Wouldn't that be funny if I just dug either side of it because I didn't pay enough attention? Maybe. I'm not going to say no because I noticed it, right? Like if there's gold there. Yep, coarser black sand again. A little bit more of it than last pan. But I mean, the best gold pan we've got so far is up the top there. We've got to get better than that. Shotgun pellet and garnets and gold. All right, now I'm interested. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a 10 spec pan. Now for reference, like a spec used to be worth about 1 US cent. Today, it's worth more in the ranges of 3 to 5 US cents, just depending on which country you live in and what the gold rate is there at the time. So 10 specs doesn't seem like much, but when you're talking like 3 cents a spec, that's 30 cents in a pan just there. You don't, a lot, like dollar value wise, a lot of gold, a valuable amount of gold doesn't actually look like that much. Feeling the bottom here. I don't know if it is the bottom or if it's a rock. It's really hard to tell sometimes, especially when you're working in and around tree roots like this that hold the ground together. Generally speaking, doesn't like to let things move. See, that's a rock. That's definitely a rock. Yeah. That might help. Maybe. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, there we go. Okay, we just sunk through the root ball. The root ball's full of big gravel, which means it's kind of armored, would be the best way to describe it. There's that clay again that we got at the top. Armored root balls, man. All right. And make no mistake, this is hard work. Like, you got to be pretty physically fit to be able to just hammer pan after pan. So I like to use smaller pans like this when I'm test panning because it means I can do more of them. Whereas big pans are great for production. Oh yeah, much coarser tin. A little bit more of it. About the same. About the same. We're getting there. We're getting somewhere anyway. We're finding gold. It's just we're not at the spec count that we want yet. We want much more than that. I know it's around here. Look at these really big rocks here. These are huge. That's massive. And they're all on a pile just here. Straight away my brain goes, why? Why are you in a pile there? We're getting gold along here. It's got to be accumulating somewhere. Interesting. Definitely not off the bottom. That was just top gravels and root ball. This feels like it's in contact with the bottom. Indeed it was. We got that clay. That's a weird looking rock. Look at that. What's that called? Porphyry? Small grain crystals inside a fine grain matrix, or large grain crystals in a fine grain matrix. Porphyry. Neat. Leave that there. Looking very similar to there. Like we're tracking heavies. Ooh, nice big bit of lead. That's a big old shotgun pellet. Ooh, I saw a nice flash. Alright. Nicer sized bits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus some micro. That's worth investigating a bit more, for sure. We've got this, again, we've got a bedrock ledge coming across here. That's the ledge there. Is there a ledge here? So I just put my shovel on the bedrock, pushed it in with my foot, and it followed it down. So I basically sort of scalped it. Which means that your shovel, when you do that, follows where the deep section is, and it will naturally fall into any kind of crevice that's there. So it's all leaning off to this side. That just means that there's a deeper section there, deeper water. Ow. Forgot how sharp these rushes were. You can't squeeze them. They've got spines in the roots. Now this kind of video I know is not for everyone, and I do make far more sort of entertaining videos along the way, but I want to give people the real world perspective of what it's actually like to go out prospecting. So many YouTube prospectors just show their best finds, and for me it's just not the reality of it, right? It's cool to show your best finds, you should absolutely do it, but showing the reality of it's a good idea too, because it means the new people coming into the hobby are going to be set up for success. They're not going to come out here and get disappointed. And that's it. I'm showing you the process of what I go through to find the good spots. You can spend days doing this sometimes. I know I'm in the right area for good gold already because I found good gold here, but we are looking for small micro deposits, and they can take a little while just to rustle up. It'll happen. Yeah, about the same. Same sort of very, very small particle sizes. Well, that storm, it's hitting. So, unfortunately, that's pretty much me done. We're going to do maybe 1 or 2 more pans. We've now traced and tracked gold all through this area, and we found little pockets that might be worth river sluicing or similar. However, when we come to this section here, where I found a good gold deposit a little while ago, I didn't realize that the trench continues. So what I'm thinking is, this is where all the gold accumulated and everything else back there is traced. There's probably pockets of good gold, but nothing substantial. Whereas just here, it looks like there is still some decent gold. This is what I got out of a 2 shovel test pan. You can see quite a number of nice flakes there. So before I get totally saturated, let's do a few pans. I don't know why I didn't come here at the beginning, but it is really worthwhile checking because I know there's going to be more up there. It's just that I haven't got the time with the rain coming in today to locate those micro deposits that are worth digging up. So coming back to old ground that, you know, has been heavily worked, I cleaned that spotless, but obviously there's still a little bit of gold on the peripheries of it. It'd be interesting to know if this pan is as good, because when I first hit this spot, my best pan gave me almost 1 gram of gold. That's over 100 Australian dollars worth of gold in one pan. I'd love to be able to replicate something like that for you now, but as I said, we've got rain coming down and flash floods. The dirt's different. It's what I remember from the deposit, but it feels different. It's what got that heavy, dense feel. It's also sticky. Filled with silt and, well, hopefully black sand and gold. We've got quite a substantial amount of black sand in there for what we have seen today. Oh yeah, yeah, there we go. That's better. Oh, well, who knew? The gold was exactly where I left it the last time. That's actually not that bad of a pan. That is some decent sized flakes and quite a number of them. That we're probably looking at like $3 to $4 worth of gold in that pan. Doesn't take much to get that kind of dollar value of gold. $3 to $4 a pan is substantial. It will add up very quickly if you're able to get quantity of it. The question is, for me anyway, is there enough here to be working it? Like, I'm going to say yes. It looks like there's a substantial amount of dirt still left in this crevice. I can't believe it keeps going. I thought it finished there, but because it was a big rock, but the rock wasn't bedrock, it was just a boulder. This boulder. Yep, couple of hours of panning, you feel it, that's for sure. Oh yeah, nice big flake just there. Fool's gold.
And if we're so lucky, we should see some specks in this pan. We've got a shotgun pellet. Again, lead half as much weighs, well, has a density half as much as gold. Well, wow, okay, so we got lead, but we didn't get very much gold. Really? How annoying. That is the harsh reality of prospecting. You're not always going to find gold, but this is how you do track it. You will find it if you have the time to keep looking. I found a couple of spots up there that might be worth river sluicing, but nothing that I could definitively say I would pan that and get good gold. At any rate, I wanted to show you the reality of prospecting. This is what it looks like. It's hard work. Sometimes it pays off massive dividends, but more often than not, it's you hunting for real life treasure. Don't get disheartened if you don't find it. Just come out in the rain, keep looking.